Hi friends, today I would like to talk to you about the next element of art that we're going to study in depth, line. We introduced line in our last art lesson when we talked about our color wheel lion, and we started using different types of lines to make our lion body a little bit more interesting. But let's dig deeper today. So line is a path created by a point moving through space. And there are many different types of line. Lines can be expressive. We can use strong, powerful vertical lines. Horizontal lines represent things that are at rest or stable, like the earth. Diagonal lines can create instability or give you the illusion of movement. Wavy lines like this one here are calm, moving energy, while zigzag lines can show tension or pain. Think about comics that you read, especially graphic novels. Artists in graphic novels use line a lot to communicate with the reader. So, here are some examples of those lines. We have our horizontal lines, diagonal lines, wavy, zigzag, spiral, vertical. They help us create the illusion of movement and form. Now, there are many famous artists in history who use line in their work, but I'd like to look at two. The first one I'd like to talk to you about is Keith Haring. Keith Haring is an American pop artist, and all of his creations focus around line. Here is a famous piece of his. Take a moment and look at it. Do you see how he used lines to represent form? And he also used line to represent movement. You can look at this piece and absolutely understand the movement. You can see those short little slash lines that show you that his pieces are dancing. All of his art looks just like this, and I just love it. It's so visually interesting. Now, there's another classical artist that we will get to talk more about, and my favorite classical artist is Vincent van Gogh. He uses a lot of line in his pieces, mostly to represent movement. Now, this is his more famous piece. It's called Starry Night. And you can see how he uses those circular, energetic lines of like varying thickness, so thick lines and thin lines, to show movement and represent the nature around him. We're going to use a lot of lines like this in our art. Now, lines can be used to represent form. This is a simple drawing used only with lines, but we can absolutely tell what it is. Lines can help us create a more simplified version of things that we see every day. Line can also be used to represent movement. This absolutely looks like the ocean or someone's curly hair, just really moving, curving, peaceful lines. But it absolutely shows movement. They can also be used to create texture. So this one here reminds me a lot of tree bark. Using different types of lines together can always create a visually interesting piece. So this is a landscape using only lines. The thick lines and the thin lines of the rolling hills, the strong, short lines of the sunshine. But you can also see those horizontal lines across the sky that can show maybe wind moving or perhaps really thin clouds. And then there's also continuous line. Continuous line is where your pen touches the paper the entire time and you don't lift it. So each of these examples is just one continuous line. Pretty cool, right? So now it's your turn. We're going to talk more about how we can create a project with lines today.